my pay, and they take it away. Like they don't care, I got a family to feed.
I've had a problem for a very long time. It feels like I can't find my place in this very complicated world that, sorry for being dramatic, but feels like it's coming to an end. For me, the hardest struggle is the big questions I've been asked since I'm 18. What are you going to do with your life? Okay, you don't know, but what do you like? What are you going to do after your studies? What's your plan for next year?
They cut my shifts at the mill. I fell behind on my bills, and when you're late, they try to charge you more.
This pressure that society puts on me just doesn't make sense. Why should I find a job or a career when in a few years everything might be super different? I know it sounds stereotypical, but I'm sorry, I don't see the point. Some people, including my family, are kind of supportive, but they always end up saying, "Don't worry, you'll find what you want to do. And don't worry, you'll find your place someday." And it means that I will find my own little spot in the society that it could be nice to hear, like reassuring. But what if I don't? Or what if I don't want to? So now, when people ask me, "What do you like?" or "What do you want to do?" I just answer, "I want to be free." And of course it sounds a bit like sarcastic or stereotypical, but at the end it's true, I just want to be free, and I think it's something that I have always been looking for. I am now in a big quest with a head full of questions. What is freedom? I mean, it's a big word, but it probably has a different meaning for everyone. And how to reach it? Do I have to live alone in the woods completely out of the society to be free? Welcome to my big investigation, where I will learn what freedom can be, get inspired by other people's lives and visions, and maybe get a few answers. I just want to be free. Okay, now I'm doing for the drama. Let me be free. This was the first recording, and I must say I was really stressed and overwhelmed, and I hope it looked good and I don't re-record it at the end. So before starting, I had to decide who I will interview, and I had only one requirement. I want to interview people that feel free. So I asked my friends and my mom, who was also visiting me in Slovenia at that time, "Do you feel free?"
Sur une échelle de 1 à 10, 8. Clap.
6.
Yes, I do feel free.
I feel partly free, like I would say 7 out of 10.
For the story, I want to say that also, this is my friend Mark,
Yeah.
super inspiring person that I met here in Slovenia. And also, I'm really embarrassed of doing this interview because he's an actual journalist and I'm not. So I'm super scared that my questions are shit.
No, you're good.
Hello, my name is Clotilde. I'm an ESC volunteer at the circus in Ljubljana.
J'ai l'impression d'être genre en mode une grande star et tout.
My name is Matic. I'm a psychologist. I'm 53 years old. I work in the primary school here in Medvode.
I am Mathieu Huret. I am a volunteer at the Leutra organization. I'm doing some youth work and some sustainability-related projects.
So to know what we are talking about, like even before trying to define it with a proper word definitions, I wanted to try to describing it with a feeling. So I asked them to tell me a story of a moment they felt 100% free.
La première fois où on a décidé avec le camping-car de pas aller au camping, mais de dormir n'importe où, à Goulette Bluff. Un endroit vraiment incroyable, on était en haut d'une falaise, il y avait la mer, la barrière de corail et tout, c'était dingue. Et du coup on s'était arrêté là pour dormir. Et le matin, on avait sorti les tables pour le petit-déj, on était les seuls au monde et on se sentait trop fou d'avoir fait ça, de s'être arrêté comme ça nous venait. Je me disais là, ça peut pas être mieux dans ma vie, quoi. Je pense qu'on était dans un émerveillement de fou.
As I was finishing high school, I did have this idea of freedom, like I want to be free, I want to travel, I want to I had been reading all these stories, watching all these films that put ideas in my head that there was way more than what I was experiencing in high school, right? So when I was 18, I took a backpack and I went to Sofia, Bulgaria on my own, like to work in a hostel, like volunteer in a hostel. I was just like volunteering there, meeting some people, it was nice, but I was like, there must be more, right? And then two random people came, like two other Spanish people, and we clicked, and I was like, guys, what if we rent a car and we travel across Bulgaria, like, and we go to Romania, you know what I mean, like and they were like, yeah, why not? And we actually did it, and it was amazing, like one of the best trips in my life, you know. And I have this memory of, like, I don't know, being in the mountains in Bulgaria and seeing the landscape, being with those strangers I had met a week before, and I just remember looking at those mountains, like the lakes, being surrounded by people I barely knew, and being like, fuck, this is freedom, you know.
I went on a solo trip in Croatia and I was hiking in the mountains for 5 days. It was a mess, but I survived. And then at the end, I was at the sea and everything felt like so easy, felt like insanely free. And I was sitting at the sea at the sunset, and I was just looking at the sea, and I don't know, I had like this overwhelming wave of not even happiness, but yeah, like it was more like freedom, because I made my choice to go there and like on my own, and it was like an amazing experience. And I was just sitting there like realizing that it was all out of my own like choices in life, because it started when I went to Slovenia and then blah, 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 and then I ended up doing this solo trip in Croatia. It was like amazing to notice how random life is and how much like power I have on my own solo trips.
I have these feelings because I also scuba dive. My instructor said like this is the second best thing to sex. He said like it's scuba diving. I said like okay, and then it's really because you can feel no pressure, no gravity, and there are fishes, and you know, and then you just breathe very easily. And there you're down, but not very deep. There is sunshine coming, and I could stay there for 1 hour, like meditating, but just lying on the sea floor, and like the fishes are there, and this is really peaceful.
Hitchhiking and meeting someone, and then you meet this person, and then the person brings you somewhere, and then you have a nice time, and then you're like, this is really bringing a freedom feeling, because you feel that you can end up in beautiful situations and like end up in nice situations without like thinking too much about planning for it. And like it can, like the world can offer you things like that.
This is really, freedom is really a hard question, because for me personally, I think I try to reach freedom for myself. So first, it's not universal. So what is for you, what is for me, I don't think it's the same.
I think freedom for me is the ability for someone to use the time as he wants to use his time. It can be doing things you want to do spontaneously, but it can also like planning things on the long term, but all related with what you have actually decided to do.
It's having the capability of every day waking up and deciding what is it that you want to do with yourself that day. That to me is freedom.
I tend to agree with this, but is it too simple? Or is it even realistic?
A few years ago, I was staying at home for 1 year because I was so tired. So let's say it's sabbatical, like I need to be free. And it was not nice. I was tired, and then after a few weeks, I was so bored. Yes, I could watch things on the Netflix, okay. I can read books, it's okay. But then there was a feeling that I cannot be not just successful, but to put something in the society, to not work. So it was a useless life. So for me, it's also to find what to do in this society that works for you, and also to makes you a little bit happy or at least satisfied.
Yeah, I think this is what I used to think about freedom, just doing whatever you want and living day by day. But I think this is not completely freedom. Imagine you have dreams or you have like things you really want to do at one point and it requires a long time. For example, doing music, you know, like learning music and being a musician, and it requires time. And so you have to engage yourself to get to this goal. It's freedom to get to this goal because you want to plan yourself to do this for yourself. But it requires yourself sometimes to fight against you because you have to fight against your spontaneous desire to do other things.
For me, is like really walking on a very thin line between what society wants us from us and what is coming out of us. So the both extremes are not very good. So if you are completely in the society, then you become really a sheep. So you have a job that, I don't know, parents or society wants you to have it, and you just obey the rules. If you are too much in yourself, then you're outcast. So then the society just spits you out. So for me, it's freedom like to be something in between, and I try to combine this.
A big part of freedom for me is art, because you can just do whatever you want, and it's basically like translating your feelings or experiences into something that you have like full control on. You can just do whatever you want that feels the most like you, and this is really freeing for me because no one can stop me from creating.
I do feel free because I'm an artist, you know, so I can just like create my own freedom in that field.
J'ai l'impression que pendant longtemps, j'ai confondu la liberté et l'égoïsme. En gros, pour moi, être libre, c'était peut-être être comme mon père, c'est-à-dire être égoïste comme mon père, n'en faire qu'à ma tête, ne pas prendre les autres en considération. Et que ce qui était bien, c'était plutôt être conformiste, obéissant, bien élevé, sur les bons rails. J'ai l'impression d'être entourée ou d'avoir grandi avec ce modèle-là de femmes qui étaient des femmes de devoir, qui serraient les dents, qui se tenaient bien, qui faisaient ce qu'on attendait d'elles et qui n'avaient pas de choix possible dans leur vie.
Like, we're literally not free of so many things, which is like completely absurd to me, but it's the world we live in. Most of the time, I don't really give a shit about like what I'm supposed to do as a woman, but I'm always aware of it. I always just feel like this pressure of having to prove myself to the world in order to like, not recognized, but just that people are like, okay, like she can actually do it. I feel the need to prove myself to the world and also to myself, I guess, because I'm a woman and I feel like we're not taken seriously just by doing things like men do. Like, you cannot just be a woman. You have to do things to prove that you can be a woman and do things.
I have been dreaming of a life of adventure, I think, for a really long time. I remember I wanted to be like Esteban de Citador or Mike Horn or American guys that I was seeing on YouTube doing like surviving stuff and like how to live in the wild. But all these three people were men, and so I think it was really hard for me to be able to identify myself to them because I was clearly missing examples of women.
Women role models are, I think, on the purpose, are erased from the history, on purpose. My friend wrote a book about the Slovenian female music conductors. And when I read the book, I know nobody of these women. And there are, I think, 40 of them who are musical conductors, and there's nothing about them.
I feel like we're not as free as men. The freedom of just paying yourself and not having to care like, oh, is this safe? Like, can I go there alone in that fucking outfit? Like, this is insane. It's like, it's scary sometimes. Like, if you're surrounded by men and you have to like speak up for yourself and for the other women, the girls, then it's like, I mean, you have the freedom to do it, but then you have to gather the courage to like actually stand up and say something. It's literally a burden, and if we didn't have that, I think that women would do way more than they're doing right now.
Je pense à ma vingtaine et ma trentaine. J'ai l'impression que j'avais beaucoup de cases à cocher, beaucoup de contraintes. Voilà, travailler, gagner de plus en plus d'argent pour acheter un appartement, puis encore plus pour acheter un plus grand appartement.
I also don't want to put myself in that frame of like having a partner, a family. I mean, it's beautiful and everything, but I just, right now I don't feel like this is freedom for me, because I just want to go like everywhere I want, and I don't know.
With this traditional path is, I think in all the countries is, I mean in the Europe is very similar. You have to get married very soon. Good husband, 3 kids, car, house, a good job. And then you're happy. This is not true. You're not going to be happy by this. I think it's an old fear of people that you will be hungry and without a job, but this is completely different world now. This can work in 80s or 70s in the last century when oh, good job. What kind of job? What job?
Je pense que je me suis débarrassée de la peur de pas tout maîtriser ou la peur de ne pas savoir ce qui va se passer. La solitude, la peur d'être jugée. J'ai l'impression, c'est peut-être l'âge, hein, tu vois, la sagesse, le fait de dépasser 40 ans, d'avoir moins peur, peut-être. Oui, je pense qu'il y avait une question un peu de trouille. Me lancer dans une aventure assez hasardeuse, sans trop savoir si j'allais gagner ma vie, sans trop savoir si ça allait marcher, avec beaucoup plus d'incertitude en fait que ce que j'avais avant. Ouais, je sais aussi qu'il y a des gens qui trouvent que c'est pas raisonnable, que c'est inquiétant, il y a des gens qui trouvent que c'est un petit peu égoïste, mais je sais qu'on m'envie aussi de ça. Voilà.
Freedom should concern only your life and your time. You cannot like have the freedom to control the time of other people. This what makes the freedom definition of anarcho-capitalist bullshit. Because they believe they include in their freedom the ability to hire people, to employ people, to use people, and so to constrain the time of other people, which imply that in their freedom definition, they have the freedom to constrain the freedom of other people, which is like bullshit. Freedom must like include only one person.
My friend was working in a bank and he was so bored. He was like all the time like, okay, what do you want? Okay, 100 euros, yes. You need to receive 8 hours. And his idea was to be a cook. And one day he just quit a job and now he's doing catering. Just catering for birthdays, weddings or parties. And he's so happy. He has a small car. He's doing something, you know, try this. This is very good on a bread. Oh, this is with mushrooms. This is like, I mean, and he's living very well. He's not rich, but he's happy. That's more important.
Yeah. So from these conversations, I understood that, okay, I need to do what I like, but probably I need to have some people, and I cannot be a hippie living alone in the forest. I mean, I don't know yet. Maybe I could. I don't know. Yeah, I still dream of this a bit, I think. Maybe to go to another scale, we need to dream big. Like, create together our kind of utopia, and then we'll see what we can actually do and what we can't do. So let's create our perfect world, and then we'll see.
In my perfect world, I really don't want to work. Like, really not. I just don't want to like have a corporate job and be stuck there.
Pas d'argent, pas de capitalisme ou Imaginons le revenu universel.
In a perfect world, I wouldn't rely on like the material needs that usually we have, aka money or like anything else that comes with
Et
it.
si j'avais pas ce truc de me dire c'est mon appartement, il faut que je l'habite et tout, enfin si les choses pouvaient être plus fluides, peut-être que je tenterais d'autres expériences ailleurs, je me sentirais moins installée là où moins obligée d'être installée là où je suis. Ça, c'est le premier avantage que je vois de l'idée du revenu universel ou de l'abolition de la propriété privée.
Wow.
Et encore, je raisonne comme une bourgeoise, mais bon, en gros, si c'était possible de venir avec ta valise et d'habiter n'importe où, voilà, tu vois, je resterais un mois. Ou je me mettrais dans la maison des poules. Comme ça, un peu jardiner, m'occuper des poules pendant que tu seras en voyage. On peut rêver. Et puis l'autre truc, c'est justement, tu vois, c'est lié. Ça, je pense que ça changerait la façon d'habiter et la façon aussi de travailler. C'est-à-dire que je me sentirais. Peut-être que je pourrais tenter encore plus de trucs. J'ai déjà pas mal tenté de choses, d'expériences différentes dans ma vie. Mais je sais pas, je pourrais imaginer de travailler dans une crêperie pendant un mois, puis aller travailler au cinéma pour un petit moment, puis faire ci ou ça.
Any random day of the week, I could just like fuck off and go travel or like spend the day just not doing anything or just being creative, you know. I feel like just having time to be without any other pretension, that is freedom, you know. That's like the ultimate phase I want to reach, and all the decisions that I'm taking now are taking me towards that ideal scenario. So yeah.
Aujourd'hui, je trouve ça déjà assez cool d'avoir un peu deux métiers en parallèle, 2 ou 3. Mais je trouve que il y a des choses aussi un peu que je m'interdis parce que c'est pas très bien payé ou parce que ça me ferait prendre trop de risques de lâcher une mission pour faire un autre truc. Donc voilà, je pense que dans un autre contexte, il y aura encore plus de possibilités. Ou juste glander pendant 6 mois. Ouais. J'imagine pas toujours ça, mais ça pourrait être chouette. Enfin, glander ou, je sais pas, écrire un livre. Voilà. En fait, c'est pas les envies qui me manquent.
Perfect world? Oh, this is a good question. I'm really thinking about it, really a lot. For me, the perfect world is like that we are not living in a big cities, that we are living in a tribes for, let's say, 200, 300 people, because from psychology, we know that this is the major threshold that we all can know each other. So that we are living in small communities, try to be sustainable with food, no oppression, of course, no slavery, no t-shirts that are made in Thailand or whatever with the kids. I'm not opposing the technology because I really like technology, but with the care. I mean, so for me it's like, of course, that this will be a community of empathy and love.
How I imagine the perfect world would be borders wouldn't exist, then the societies wouldn't be as centralized as they are now, and we would have like smaller communities all connected with each other and trading goods, but also having like a strong focus on their local production, and private property wouldn't be a thing, and you would work because you want to, not because you have to, but because you are providing to that society that you are part in. So that would give you also a sense of meaning.
I think I want to contribute to a collective effort. I think I want to contribute to society, but in the sense of like adding myself to something bigger than me.
But because that's the whole idea of work, like not to get a paycheck at the end of the month. As I understand work could provide freedom, could provide a sense of freedom if you're actually feeling that you are having this great impact in those around you. So, but also having the possibility to just fuck off if you want. and just take the day off or going somewhere. So
And I think the definition of work is really important in this because work is in our society really the definition of you sell your own time and you don't control it anymore. And so we can imagine a contribution to society and to outside of yourself that would be kind of work, but that would be on your own initiative, something that you don't have to be paid for, you don't have to sell your time for it and like not be employed basically. And that everyone will contribute to the collective effort depending on their own initiatives, and that would mean something that is much more beautiful.
You say exactly the same as Mark.
As Mark.
Exactly the same.
So Mark is an anarchist. He doesn't know it, but he's an anarchist.
The idea is also that the leaders are women. Because for 2000 years, men leaders, we just do a lot of wars. There are some women who also were in wars, like Queen Elizabeth, there is no question about it. But our masculinity is really making us to chaotic world. So we need this matriarchy. Equally, but matriarchy is deciding because you have much more wider view of what their needs. We are so goal-oriented, so boring in a way. So this is the idea. But this is also a task for your generation because we are too old for this. If there will be a lot of you, maybe in 30 years it can change because our world is dying. But I'm not sure globally how much of people like you there is because we have no clue. If there is a lot or it's but this it's achievable in, let's say, 20 years, 30 years, slowly with some small groups of people. There are some good examples of that. We'll see.
Je me demande si c'est pas un peu des questions de riches dans un monde où la liberté est quand même un petit peu... Comment tu te poses ce genre de questions quand en fait t'as plus le droit de vote ou la liberté d'expression est remise en question? Voilà, quand tu risques d'être emprisonné parce que t'as ouvert ta gueule.
Ouais, c'est sûr que ça...
like this whole documentary, even like questioning what is freedom, this is a privilege, that we have the space to question this, right? So, but just because it's a privilege doesn't mean that we don't get to question these things or to want more.
Yeah, I just want to be free at the end of the day. Find balance in life, find peace, inner peace, and then you can do all the things you want because you're capable of it. I'm kidding. I mean, it is.
I had a mentor once that told me this quote that has stayed with me for like ever since then, that changed how I relate to the world, which is that like you are the only responsible of your own feelings. So unless you are locked or you are like in a underdeveloped country, like I'm not talking about that kind of context, but if you're watching me, probably chances are you're living in a pretty good situation. Like you are the only responsible on you feeling free or not. And this changed everything for me. Like you stopping to put the blame on whatever was going on around me or the people around me, like changed everything. Also because once you accept that, that you're the only responsible and there's no such thing as bad emotions or good emotions, this will eventually, after you do it for a long time, like it will bring that sense of lightness and eventually freedom. So yeah. You should try it. This is Mark. You can buy my course on markvarillo.com.
I don't really know how to conclude this because it's hard for me to identify like point by point everything that I have learned. But I know I'm really, really happy to have listened to Chloe, Mathilde, Mathieu, Mark and my mom talking about their visions of life and freedom. Also, I wanted to say that I started thinking about this documentary in March, I think, and I was completely lost and really worried about my future. And we are now in July, and to be honest, I still am, even more because Slovenia is finishing really, really soon. But I know that I want to continue like listening to myself and searching for what actually makes me happy and free. Because I think I haven't said this enough, but this year in Slovenia was probably the happiest of my life. And I was like in such a perfect state and balance of happiness, free time, freedom, doing things that I liked and that matters to me. So yeah, I want to continue this in France or wherever I go back or I go after. I think doing a conclusion of this is hard, but this is the best I can do. And also I really want to thank my friends who were in this documentary that were so inspiring to me, and I will be so happy to have them in the camera, whatever happens. And yeah, I guess to je to.
To je to.
Okay. Jup. To je to. Hvala lepa.